Hi, and welcome to Thirsty Thursdays with a therapist. My name is Jaleisha Gatling. I'm a couples therapist here in New York City, working with couples to help them unpack the baggage that gets in between their relationships. Today's topic on quenching the thirst in your relationship is why your partner won't go to therapy with you. We're building on what we talked about last week in Thirsty Thursdays regarding barriers and blocks that make it really difficult for couples to make it to therapy, even though they really believe that it could be helpful. Today, I wanted to talk about a different scenario that I see very often where one person is really on board and might be kind of dragging their partner in, or their partner's super resistant to showing up. And if they show up, maybe they're resistant to really engaging and really being present. And I want to talk about some of the things that I've witnessed firsthand and that I work with couples on in the initial stages of therapy that might be helpful to you if you're having similar issues or resistance to coming. So number one, you may be having issues getting your partner to agree to willingly come to therapy if you are presenting it in a way that it is meant to fix your partner. If you're presenting it to them, if you're presenting it to me in session, like these are all the things that are wrong with my partner and this is why we're here, can you fix her or can you fix him? That is super problematic because couples therapy is just that. It's couples therapy. If the main issue is impacting the relationship dynamic in a way that is not satisfying or fulfilling to you, then it's something that needs to be addressed and worked through as a team and as a couple. A dynamic requires a minimum of two people. So you coming in and saying, hey, fix her, fix him, fix them, and expecting for them to just come home and for everything to be okay or to improve is not realistic. So just you have to keep that in mind. The way that you present it, the way that you deliver it, and the way that you think about it, you might need to recalibrate that a bit, because if in fact this is impacting your relationship or you're coming up around the same conflicts, it's super important that both of you are showing up. And it makes a huge difference for your partner if you present it that way to them, so that they're not kicking and screaming and thinking that they're coming in to be beat up on and that this is all to blame on them, right? Now, let's say that you feel like, hey, Jaleisha, you don't understand. My situation is different. My partner really messed up. My partner has a terrible temper and she punches holes in the wall and slams doors. And I really, it's not me, like it's her. And I need for you to fix her. And I don't understand why I need to be there because I don't have anger issues. I'm good. Or he cheated on me. He cheated. He had an affair. I'm furious. I'm livid, and you need to work with him on that. And that's not something that we can fix as a couple. Like, why do I need to be there? It's so important, both those scenarios, that you're both there, based off of the reasons that I mentioned above, but also so that you guys can both really unpack and learn and better understand one another's realities and experiences. Very much, most of the time, we are having different experiences around the same event. And in the event of an affair, work a lot with infidelity repair, work a lot with couples that are wanting to move forward and really heal from betrayal. It's so important that we get to uncover what hasn't been talked about, what hasn't been addressed that may have contributed to this affair or this transgression. And so to go there, we really need both of you present in the room. We need both of you to unpack and to open up. It's not possible to do that with just one partner, even if they are at fault for that transgression. And so that's the most important reason why we really need you to go. Even if one person is saying, hey, yeah, I did mess up, it's important that you're both there. I wanted to give you guys an example to kind of lay out what I'm talking about. Say Diana comes in with Daryl. They've been together for a few years, and Diana is super upset and frustrated because she feels like Daryl doesn't express his feelings. She feels like he is being really withdrawn and shutting down, and she's at her wit's end. And as he gets quieter, she gets louder, and he is equally frustrated with her because he feels like she's always yelling and shouting, and he really finds himself pulling away from that, and it's just creating this huge distance and disconnect from them. In this instance, let's say that we do the work, we're in therapy. What are some of the things that could be uncovered that could be really helpful for them and that make it so imperative that they both be in the room? Number one, let's say that Diana grew up in a home where there was a lot of yelling and a lot of not necessarily angry yelling, but that they're a very loud, expressive family. They're the sort of family that might get into a fight or a tiff at dinner loudly and really going at it, and then 10 minutes later they're all laughing and making a joke about something that happened earlier in the day. Whereas Daryl maybe perhaps grew up in a home that there was not much going on at dinner except for talk of the weather and the clanking of forks and knives on the plates. Let's say that Daryl never saw his parents fight. So perhaps for Daryl, the mere thought or even slight feeling that there might be conflict, and that might be communicated to him through the raising of a voice even, that might create so much discomfort in him that he shuts down, because if you were to ever see his parents argue or get upset, it was a bad situation. That was not good. And so for him, it's better to stay safe and to not speak up if he is upset, because that was not condoned, maybe subtly, in his home growing up. Those are the sort of things that we tease out in therapy that becomes apparent, and that makes it more easy for you to be compassionate with your partner, to have more empathy for them, to understand their reality. I mean, working with a couple such as Daryl and Diana might help Daryl to not feel so threatened or feel the need to hide or turn away from Diana if he understands that this is just the way she expresses herself, and that she's not threatening him, that she is not mad at him, that she's not necessarily saying he's a bad person or that this relationship is bad. If he could start to kind of readjust the way that he takes in her very high visible expressiveness, that could shift a lot of things for him. Also in Diana's case, she could have more compassion for him. Maybe she might take it down a notch, but maybe she might not have to necessarily if he is able to see her and experience her through a different lens and not take it in a way that's personal or that's threatening. Does that make sense? I'm hoping that makes sense. And so, another thing that I think is super important in terms of really encouraging and helping your partner to embrace therapy with you is to make sure that you're co-exploring your goals for therapy. Now, you can't come in with just your goals, this is what needs to be fixed, and that's your aim, that's your ammo. No, it needs to be something where the both of you are able to express, and you're inviting your partner to share, well, what would you like to get out of therapy? And sometimes it's really interesting when couples come in and I ask this question of what their specific goals are, what they hope to get out of therapy. And one person might have it all planned out and have this long list, and the other person is like, I guess that. And I'm like, well, no, what do you want? Having that space to think about and share and contribute to what you might want out of therapy, even if maybe you weren't quite on board, can be really, really helpful and fruitful for the therapy. And it's okay if you guys have different goals. We don't have to go either or. Sometimes we can go through and really meet all of those goals. And it also can create a space where you're highlighting needs that your partner maybe has that haven't been voiced up until that point. And so I will end on that. And I want to make sure that you guys check out my free listening guide in the meantime, because I think it's totally connected to what we've been talking about today. And it's the number one thing that couples tend to miss each other on, where they feel like they're having the same conversation over and over again. So check out my free listening guide. It's got 5 solid tips on helping your partner to really hear you. And if you are on the fence about therapy, or if your partner's on the fence about it, hit me up. Go on my website, www.letsunpacktherapy.com, book a phone consult with me, and we can talk about your concerns. I can answer any questions that you have, and we can really see if we might be a fit to work together and if couples therapy could be helpful for you in your relationship. Check me out next week. On next Thursday, we're going to continue talking about barriers in therapy. We're going to be talking about how to get the most out of couples therapy once you actually get there. And I'm going to be talking about a lot of things that I've shared with my couples that's helped them to really get the most out of couples therapy. And I want to share some of those tidbits with you. So I will see you guys next week on Thirsty Thursdays with a therapist.